Hi guys, it's Mrs. Warner. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. I'm not going to be in school today, as you well know, so I'm going to have to record our lesson, and hopefully you guys can watch this in your Play Pause It. So the first thing you're going to do is open up your notes from either the note packet. You can open up that PDF in Kami and you can annotate on there, or if you're someone who likes taking your notes on actual paper, you can use the packet that was provided to you in class last week. Okay, and then the next thing you need to do is go to your classroom and look for the Desmos assignment that's called Basic Geometry Terms, Recognition, and Definitions. That would be a Desmos assignment that goes along with this note sheet. So you're going to open up that Desmos, as you can see, and the first one is just kind of like giving you some directions. And then on the next slide, you're actually going to take the term and match up its definition. So for example, like a segment, we'll use that one. A segment is like has two endpoints on either side, and it consists of all the points that are in between them. So I'd look around on here. It's definitely not that one. It has one endpoint, that's a ray. So I would take maybe the ray and match it with that. And usually when you drop them on top of each other, they match. And you can check and see if you're doing things well by, on the next slide, you can check your card sort, and it says I have 4 out of 18 cards correct. I'm a rock star. That means I already have another match on there too, which you can't see. So you're going to go through that and it can check it for you, and it'll tell you have, like, I think there's 9 of them. So when you have like all 18 pair or 9 pairs matched up, it'll say 18 out of 18. Okay, so then you're going to take your note sheet and you're going to actually copy your definitions down into your note sheet after you've checked that they're right, of course. And so, for example, you'd write them in there. You can either type them or write them if you want, or you can write them on your actual note packet. All right, I'm going to actually go through the actual notation with you guys to make sure that you know how to actually write them out with their proper notation, because I bet you know most of the definitions, but the notation is the main thing that we're worried about in geometry. So a point is basically just a location that has no size, length, or depth. So a point is shown by a dot. So maybe this is point A, and it's usually labeled with a capital letter. And then I would just call this like point A if I were to talk about it. Pretty simple. A line it's an object with no thickness that goes on indefinitely in 2 directions. So if I were to draw a line, it would have to have arrows on both ends of it, and it would have to be made of 2 points. So maybe this is A and this is B. The notation for a line would be the 2 letters, either AB, or you could write it as BA. It doesn't matter the order of them, and you would draw the line picture above the top of it. Important to put arrows on both ends of that so you don't confuse it with a segment or array, which we'll talk about in a few seconds. Now, the other way a line could be labeled would be like with a lowercase cursive letter. So another thing could be, maybe this is line M, that's lowercase and a little bit cursive, fancy. Next, we have a plane. Oh, I love planes. So planes are just a flat surface that contains points and extends indefinitely. Oh, look how I spelled that. In all directions. Bad, Mrs. Warner. So we can call a plane 3 different ways. You pick 3 points that are in the plane, and those 3 points are not in a straight line. So maybe we call this plane ABC. The 3 points that were picked are not in a straight line. If you pick 3 points in a straight line, then it's actually going to represent the line in that plane. So just be careful of that. And sometimes they have like a fancy, crazy letter in the bottom of them. That could be also another way to label it. That would be like plane K. Okay? 3 points generally is how you'll see that. Segment, different than the line above. This segment has 2 endpoints, and it contains all the endpoints in between. So instead of putting the arrows on the ends of it, now you have 2 endpoints. That's how you know it's a segment. It's only part of an actual line. So AB would have the segment bar above the top, or you could say it as BA with the segment bar. Again, remember that order doesn't actually matter. The ray has 1 endpoint and then continues indefinitely in another direction. So maybe this is ray AB. And when rays are written, they usually start at the endpoint, and then the arrow is generally always pointing over to the right on the ray. Okay, so that would be ray AB is how we would label that. That's super fun. Moving on to the back now, we're on to page 2. We have our angle. Oh, look at angle. Angles have different ways to be labeled, but we know, let's draw a nice picture of an angle here. Let's call this angle cow. Oh, cow. And it's a figure formed by 2 rays called they're the sides, and it shares a common endpoint, which is its vertex. So in this case, O is the vertex of this angle. Now, I could call this angle, usually we put a little angle symbol, we could call it angle cow, or it could be angle walk, because we could go in both directions as long as the middle letter is the actual vertex of that angle. I could also label this angle with a number, and then this would be angle 1 if I put a little 1 in the vertex of the angle. Ooh, here's a new term you might not know, collinear. Love collinear. Collinear are points in a straight line. So like A, B, C, D, whole bunch of points on a line that are on a same line are called collinear. So like points A, B, C, and D, those are collinear. But if point E is over here hanging out, he's not friends with them. He's not collinear. Same idea with coplanar. I could make this like an A, a B, a C, and then whoop, point D is out here. D is naughty. He's not coplanar with A, B, and C. He doesn't belong. So A, B, and C in this case would be coplanar. Points lying in the same plane. Oh, Mrs. Winter forgot a term, so I had to throw it on the bottom. I'm really sorry. If you're like OCD like me and it doesn't have the boxes, we're going to have to draw them in here. So I forgot about perpendicular. I don't know why I left that off. That was naughty. So perpendicular are lines or segments or rays that intersect to form right angles. So you're probably used to seeing like this picture where there's something of this nature going, and they make a 90-degree angle, and sometimes they have like a little box there in the picture. So like, oh goodness gracious, Mrs. Warner, I'm running out of room there. Can I move this down here? No, maybe I should do it up here. Okay, so watch. Really sorry about this, guys. This is really wrecking my OCD. So maybe it was like segment AB, and then there's CD here. They're perpendicular because they make a right angle. So AB, the segment, is perpendicular to segment CD because there's a right angle at that point of intersection. That was super fun. So now that you know how to identify things and label them and know all sorts of good definitions with them because you've double checked your card sort, you're going to now go back to your basic geometry terms in your Desmos. Whoops. Say I got all those right. And you're going to go through the rest of the Desmos using your pen tool, which is on the side here, and you're going to like write things down. So like for the first example, it says, write the name of the following diagram using its proper notation. So I'm going to look at this picture and I see it has 2 endpoints on it. So this, and those endpoints actually continue on forever. So I know this is called a line. So if I were to label it, I just use my pen tool, using Desmos, and I'd call it CD, and I'd have to put the line above the top. And then Mrs. Warner's watching you from home, so she would check and see that you got that actually right. And then you can also write that back on your note sheet. After you've done it on there, you can be like, okay, remember I did that, and it was CD, and it was whoa, did you see that? My Cami got a little crazy there. It was a line above the top. Okay, so you're gonna go through the rest of those questions on there, submit your answers in Desmos, and I'll check them out. And up next, we'll have lesson 1.2 coming up on segment relationships. See you in a bit. Bye for now. Oh dear, my head's in the way.